In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to make a bedding mock-up with a flat stock photo. So here's a blank full-size bed, or blank white full-size bed that I purchased on Shutterstock, and it doesn't come with any selection. So I'm going to first select the background, and I'm going to inverse. Then I'm going to save the selection as the full bed contour. Now we're never going to use this full bed contour, but we use this to consistently select other areas of the bed. So what I'm going to start with is the duvet cover. So the first thing, while this is activated, I'm just going to remove a big chunk of the selection. So holding the Option key in combination with the lasso tool, I'm going to just remove the whole top of the bed, and then I'm going to zoom in a little so I can see it a little closer. And the best tool I think to use for this one would be the polyagonal tool. And then again, holding the Option key, I'm going to click it way out here so I can see and make a straight line at a diagonal, and also shoot well beyond the mock-up. And then just go around it, click a few times, and then when you hover over the start point, a little circle, outline circle pops up at the bottom right of the tool, and that allows you to connect. Now this is, so that's going to give us a nice straight diagonal line, but unfortunately the real photograph is a little bit off, which is going to happen in a real photograph, especially a fabric. It's not going to be a perfectly straight line. And then you can see there's this little tiny area that was missed. So I'm going to use the Option key to capture that. And I'm just going to kind of go down here. I'm holding the space bar that's giving me this hand tool, kind of see what I'm dealing with here. And that shadow, I mean, you could go with this as it is, but it's really going to show up when you, it's really going to show up in your mock-up, so it's well worth doing this, a better job of this. I'm going to switch back to the polyagonal tool, and with the holding the Shift key, I'm going to add in this little amount. I'm going to go in just sections because it's not perfectly straight, and just get as close as I can to the edge of the fabric. And as you can see, it's now starting to curve out again. So now I'm just going to loop around and connect it. And so that made a nice selection around the fabric. Now we're doing the opposite here, where it's the selection is now needs to be removed. Some of the area needs to be removed. So I'm going to hold, in this case, the Option key, and I'm going to click in sections to capture this slightly arced fabric edge, and then loop around. And then with holding the space bar, I'm just going to examine it. There's another area that needs to be fixed so it looks more realistic. So that one, I think I'm going to leave that because whatever is going, this is like the folded area of the fabric. It's sort of a shadow area, so I think it's going to look better belonging to the fold back of the duvet rather than the front of the duvet. I believe so. You could go either way. It's subjective. So the main thing, though, the important thing is I now have a nice selection of the duvet front. So I want to save that now as a separate selection. Duvet front. Then my next selection is going to be the duvet fold back. So I want these to join perfectly together. So the only way to achieve that is, and the easiest way, is to inverse. So now the background's selected, but this edge is going to meet identically. So I'm going to use the marquee, the rectangle marquee, to just quickly eliminate some of the pieces. I'm holding the Option key to delete. So I'm taking away this whole area, and then I'm also taking away the whole top of the bed. and the sides and the other side. Now, because this is the area that I want, so now I need to zoom in, and what I want to do is first I'm going to use the polyagonal tool to get that top edge, holding Option key because we're removing, and then I'm going to click and go across as close as I can to that edge. And you can see also the fabric is slightly arced or bent in this configuration, in this top edge as well. So I've gotten as close as I can. Then I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to use the rectangular marquee with the Option key tool, and then to get this straight edge. And then that remaining part, I'm going to use the regular lasso tool. So holding Option, because it's a curve, I'm just going to draw around it and loop around and just let it click. It's not quite good enough. Let's go back in. Let's use the Option key again and just get a little bit closer. Sometimes it's hard to keep a steady hand. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to just quickly move over to the other side. And here, back out a little bit. I'm using Command minus to zoom out. I'm going to use the rectangular marquee again with the Option key and just shave off the side. And then zoom in. It's worth taking your time to get a really nice selection so that you can use it for all your mock-ups, and you only have to do this part once. So let's just do the top, Option. And I'm not really happy with this edge. I was, oh yeah, because it's not quite straight. So this is another example of where I used a rectangular marquee, but it's closer, it seems to be closer at the bottom. Oops, what happened? Here we go, okay. I thought I lost my selection. I am going to go back. I'm just going to go back a couple steps. There. I'm going to do this again because I just don't think that was as close as I could get. I'm going to use the rectangular marquee again with the Option key. And let's just see how that looks close up. It's still a little, it's still, now before I had shaved off a little, this time I just want to get a little closer. So I can, if you pull this down below the image area, it will automatically scroll. So I'm holding Option and just getting close enough in that I can really see and get right in on that edge. Okay, that's much better. And now I'm going to use the lasso tool to eliminate this part. And this is kind of a shadow area, but if I take it away, it's going to, let's see, I might want to just retouch that part out. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the selection like that, and I'm going to come back later and retouch that out. I don't think it's necessary, and it's making it a little tricky on my, where to end my selections. And then I'm going to, now I need to use the polyagonal, holding now with the Shift key to add this back into the selection. I'm going to come in here and doing this in sections, try to capture this part that's not included in the straight line part. So I'm going to, for me it's easier to work in this direction, so I'm going to go back to this side. Being right-handed, I think I need to start up here. Okay. Let's use the lasso tool first to eliminate. zoom out just a tiny bit, and now I'm going to use the polyagonal tool with the Option key to remove. And I'm just going to have to do this in sections in order to stay close enough to really see what's going on. So Option, that one did not go well. I'm going to undo that, Command Z. I just didn't, I clicked a little bit too high. And rather than trying to fix it, it was a bit easier just to undo. And you just want to make sure you loop around into an enclosed shape. So here, oh, I don't like that one either. So undo. I think this needs to come up a little higher. And you can pull off the screen. So let's see if that'll save a little time. I'm going to zoom out. Oh, it's a little tricky when you have this polyagonal tool. Let's see, click, and then I have to remember where the beginning was. Oh, there we go. Okay. And then just one more section, but I can barely see it from that distance. Option, okay, so now there is the duvet fold back. So let's go to Selection, Save Selection. And if you want to keep your naming consistent, you can peek at the other names just by holding down that pull down. So I'm going to go duvet back, or you could call it a fold back. Now I'm going to do this. Now in order to keep the selection between the duvet back and the sheet identical and budding, I want to do the same thing. I want to inverse this selection using either the lasso or the rectangle, just getting rid of big areas of the selection, like in a big chunk. And then I can do the same with the top. And I can even do the sides. So either the rectangle or the lasso, doesn't matter. Then I'm going to come in here and actually get rid of that. Okay, then let's see what we have here. I'm going to use the rectangle with the Option to get rid of that straight line. And then here, definitely have to use the lasso tool for anything curvy. So I'm holding the Option. And just doing it in chunks. If the photo had more contrast, you could use the magic wand, but it's going to be very hard to do that. So holding the Shift key to add in back that little shadow area. Option key to remove. I'm shifting, alternating back and forth between the Option and the Shift key to either remove or add to the selection. Zoom out, and then I'm going to use the rectangle marquee to get this straight line. And I'm not quite sure that's in enough. Could be a little tighter, closer to the photo. Let's just shave off, see if we can just shave off a pixel or two. Okay. Okay, so that's good. Now we're going to save this selection as the sheet. And then we're going to do this again for the edge of the pillow. We want these to butt up exactly, so we're going to inverse and remove these big portions of the selection. And in this case, because we have the pure white background, we can use the magic wand in combination with the Option key and just click the background. And then that gives us a perfect selection of the two pillows. So I'm going to save this again. This will be two pillows. Now, the two pillows I'm saving now so I can alternate between the right and left and isolate the right and left. I really want to have separate selections for the pillows because they just don't look realistic if you plug a pattern in there. It looks better if you do them individually so that you can center the pattern on each pillow, and also it gives you the option to color the photos with a background color and put a motif on there, and I'll show you how to do that. So now that we have this two pillow, I'm going to just, with the lasso tool, just quickly remove the majority of the right hand and then zoom in and with the lasso tool and Option key I'm going to go around the left edge . Okay, let me look at that one more time. I'm not 100% sure about some of these shadows, if I want them to be on the right pillow or the left pillow. I think I'll add this one back in. I'm holding the Shift key and I'm just sort of kind of splitting the difference between the two of where I think it looks better. And this looks like it should be part of the left pillow as well as this. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out now I'm going to save this as the left pillow. And then I'm going to deselect, Command D. Now what I'm going to do is activate the two pillow again so I can isolate the right hand pillow. But instead of having to do this with the lasso tool, I want to make sure that these butt exactly. So what I'm going to do, and this is the first time I'm showing this little trick, is to subtract the left pillow from the two pillow. So I have the two pillow activated, and then I'm going to go back to load selection, and this time I'm going to select the left pillow, but I'm going to select subtract from selection. So it's now going to perfectly subtract the left pillow from the two pillow, and it leaves me with the right pillow. And that's going to assure that these lines are butted exactly, and then it won't have a white gap there when I add my artwork. Okay, so that completes all our selections. I do want to, there was one that I was a little concerned about with the with that little shadow area, so I'm going to put that back. I think it was the duvet back. Let's go back and look at that corner a little bit and see if we need to, we do need to remove that. I think we need to remove that area. So what I'm going to do is, in order for it to match up perfectly, I'm going to inverse. And then what I'm going to do is with my, let's see, I want to inverse, and then I want to erase. I'm going to clone out that little area. So let's go with a small clone, and I'm going to hold the Option key and just click in and kind of put some of that white area. Just get rid of that with the white background. I could have used the eraser, but just in case this background actually has like a one shade of color, one shade of gray above white, it would not match. So there, that's perfect now. Let me just test the, I want to just check this, the duvet front selection and make sure that it matches up with this area that I've just retouched. Okay, that looks very good. Okay, good. Okay, so now we're ready to add artwork. So with the duvet front selected, I'm going to go ahead and put in my strawberry pattern. I'm going to go to Layer, New Fill Layer Pattern. Okay, just go with default. It automatically goes to the first pattern in the library, and I'm going to navigate down to my strawberry. And then from here, I'm going to consider what scale looks best. Now, when you work on bedding, you need to realize that the repeat size is approximately every 24 inches or less, or any division of 24 inches. So this is actually not going to work, because if I'm looking at this strawberry to this strawberry, it's pretty much about half the bed. Let's just unlink these so we can move it. And the reason I bring this up is because you need to make it look fairly realistic. So if I were to divide this bed into 4 parts, you're going to get approximately 4 repeats across a bed, a full-size to queen-size bed. So I'm just eyeballing these other guidelines. So my repeat needs to fit between these 2 guidelines. So I'm going to go ahead and just slide with the slider. I'm going to see if I can get it fairly close. So I've unlinked this so I can move it around with the Move tool. It's just a guideline, but see, this is about 4 repeats across the whole bed. So if you're presenting this to a bedding manufacturer, if you have the pattern just too oversized, they're going to know that you're an amateur and that you don't really know some of the game plans or rules, production rules on how to make bedding. And there can be large placement prints, but they are several times more expensive, like double or triple the price of doing repeat patterns. So when I have several bedding licensees that I've worked with over the years, and several of them do not allow me at all to do any placement graphics because they're trying to sell within a certain price point. You're going to find that more in either the digital printing world or in the luxury end of bedding. For some of the lower price points of bedding and quilts and comforters, they're going to want to stay within that 24-inch repeat to keep the price point down. So that looks pretty good. And then I can turn these guides off with Command semicolon. It's also available under the guides view, clear guides or turn guides off, etc. So now what I'm going to do is add a complementary coordinating print to the duvet back. So I'm going to use one of my stripe patterns that I have for this collection. And I think I'll go with the light pink to contrast this darker purple color. So let's activate the duvet back. And then I'm going to go to Layer, New Fill Layer Pattern, navigate to the pink stripe, and I'm going to also, I think the 100% is fine. And then I definitely need to put an angle in here, and I'm going to have to just play with it to see what angle. I don't want, that's completely the wrong direction, so I need to go minus, and I'm going to put in minus 20. I want these stripes to be perpendicular to the diagonal area, because if the stripes were straight and vertical on the duvet back, when it gets folded back, they would be at an angle. So I need to go up a little more to make that happen. That's pretty close. I'm just doing it by eye. That's even better. So that also looks really good. And then I'm going to now do the pillow. I'm going to now do the sheets. And sheets are often in a very small print or even just a solid color. And in my case, I'm just going to do a solid color that coordinates with the pattern. So I'm going to go to my eyedropper and I'm going to select this light pink, and I'm going to look at it here, and then I'm going to use the paint bucket to pour it in. I actually need to create a separate layer for this, so this is going to be the sheet pink. And I'll pour this in and see if I like that color. Maybe we can go a little lighter. I'm going to double click on my color picker, and I'm just going to go to a slightly lighter within the same color family, but I'm going to recolor that. I don't want it to compete with my designs. I want it to be just very subtle. Okay, and then and I had to start a new layer for that solid fill in. I'm going to go ahead and layer these two. I'm going to call this the stripe pink, and this is the berry. I'm going to call it purple because that's the background color and the dominant color. Then now I'm going to work on my pillows. So often with bedding, for the pillow shams, they would use the same pattern and scale as the duvet front, or they might use the back, whichever works best. As long as you're not introducing a third pattern. That's sort of the rules in the lower, more economical price range. So I'm going to go ahead and load in my pattern for the left pillow, and I'm going to put in I'm going to do new layer style, new fill layer pattern, and navigate to my berry pattern. Now I don't remember what percentage I used here on the duvet front, so I'm going to go back and check that. It's 34. Okay, so I want to change this now to 34 so that they're made of the same fabric. And the other thing I want to do is center them. So I'm going to unlink, and I can come in here and reposition this so that I have, for example, 3 rows of berries and it's centered from left to right. I'm going to do the same with the duvet cover. I don't like the way that the berry leaves are up at the bottom, just sticking out at the bottom there. I'm going to go ahead and drag this down and center it from left to right, just so it looks aesthetically pleasing. However, I don't really like that little part of the berry, so I'm going to just nudge it down a tiny bit more. So these are just tiny little details that make your pattern, your mock-ups just look so much more aesthetically pleasing. And then lastly, to showcase an alternative pillow. Oh, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to put in a let's see, I'm going to activate the right pillow, excuse me, and then I'm going to put in the same pattern. So layer, fill layer, pattern. I'm going to go to the berries and put in 34%. And then I'm going to unlink and move this so that they center. This one doesn't want to quite center. Let's see. And I'm also going to make sure that they align. I can drag down a guideline to make sure that the pattern lines up from left to right. And I think it's a little bit off. I'm going to zoom in to make sure. Yeah, I'm not really crazy about the way that this is centering, so I might go back to this one and change it. Go back to this one and just tweak it a little bit. I think, yeah, I'd rather not have those those two pieces of berries cut the way that they are. That's an aesthetic decision. Okay, so then the last thing is I want to add a decorative pillow to make this just much more appealing and to showcase my artwork the best. So I'm going to jump over, let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to go over to my folder and I'm going to get my pillow mock-up that I did in an earlier demo. Okay, so I have my pillow. Now what I'm going to do is get rid of this layout and I'm going to add in, I'm going to go ahead and load the selection for the contour. I'm going to start a new layer and this will be pink. This is going to be background pink. And it still reads the, I still have access to the color. Let's bring that over. Actually, sorry, I opened this in the other Illustrator, other Photoshop. Let's just not save this. I want to be in the same version. Okay, I'm in Photoshop 2023. I have several versions of Photoshop because I want to have the 2021. I still have access to that because I want to have access to the 2021 even though I'm not using it for this demo because it has Pantone numbers in it where the 2023 does not. So let's just start again. Now I'm in the same version of Photoshop. The reason I want to be in the same version, of course, is so that I can have access to this color. Once this pink has been loaded into the color, it's going to automatically open up in the new document. So let's turn this off. Let's start a new layer, and this is going to be my pink background. And I'm going to activate my selection. And then with the paint bucket, I'm going to color this in pink. Then what I'm going to do is just deselect. I don't need to have it selected for this other part that I'm going to do. I'm going to go and open up my berry art in Illustrator. I'm going to zoom in, and I want to pick one of these berries. I'm going to unlock all the layers with the art, and I'm going to select this berry, copy, Command C, go back to Photoshop and paste, Command V, and it's going to give me the option of either pixels or sometimes it's set to pixels. I want a smart object because I'm bringing vector art in. The reason for that, in this case, I'm reducing, but with vector art, with smart objects, excuse me, you can scale this in an unlimited manner, so it gives you the effect of a vector art in Photoshop. So I'm going to go ahead and scale this to where I think it looks good, and if you move it around with your move tool, you see that a center line pops up vertically and also horizontally. It's basically, it sort of snaps in place of where the center is. So you can see temporarily there that how you can see those guidelines. Okay, so good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. Let's see, let's save. And then I'm going to create a new folder for this berry design. And I'm going to select both of those layers and drag it into that folder. Now, just temporarily, I'm going to flatten this so I can bring it into my other mockup. So I'm not going to save the flattening, but I want to flatten it just temporarily, so because you won't be able to grab all these layers in one swoop, because we have the overlay, we have the vector art, we've got the pink background, and we've got the base photo. So I'm going to just go merge visible, and now I have a flattened photo that I can now select, Command A, copy, and then come back over here to my main. Oops, you know what? I don't want the pillow. Let's do that again. I mean, I don't want the white background. Let's undo that. Undo merge visible. Okay, so what I want to do is actually just merge the layers that I've selected. That's better, because then I don't have a oh, you know what? No, that's not right. I want to undo. I don't want that top photo. That's what's creating the let's just merge these two layers. Okay, now it has a clear background. Okay, so I'm going to Command A, select all, Command C, copy, and then bring it back over to my other document and paste it in. I'd really like to have that photo in. I think I did that before, but I got to remember how I did that. Okay, let's try that one more time. Let's delete this. Okay, so let's undo layer visibility, undo. I think this is how we do it. Okay, here's how we can do it. Okay, so I'm going to say flatten visible, merge visible. I'm going to load the selection. Now I'm going to copy, Command C, and then paste. Okay, now I have the photographic shadows and everything. I just had to remember how to do that. So let's undo so we don't lose that. Undo merge visible. and then undo. I don't want to keep undo merge layers. I want to get back to this point so I can save this pillow now and not worry about, I have my art in there, but I'm not going to lose all my layers. So let's get rid of this one. Let's see, that's the good one. Okay, so these two layers can be deleted. And this is now our pillow. So this is our decorative pillow, which come in a variety of sizes. There's 16 by 16, 12 by 12, 16 by 16, 20 by 20, and 24 by 24. So there's a whole variety. I'm going to just make it, it looks really big compared to the main pillows. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce that a little bit. This can be just a visual, but that gives it a nice little cute accent to the whole thing. And then the one last thing that you can do, this is optional, but for example on the duvet back, I might have a drop shadow for that, so it just gives it a little more dimension. But actually there's one thing I forgot to do, and that's to duplicate the bed master photo and call this an overlay. Let's see what this adds to our 3 dimensions and if we need additional shadows. So I'm going to put it above all the artwork, change it to multiply, and actually that does give us a good shadows, but it's cutting, it's got a weird shadow over the pillow. So I'm going to move the pillow above the shadows, and that actually looks really good. So now that I have this overlay, it's given more dimension and shadows to the whole bed. So it really feels like it's soft and it's curving around the edge of the bed. And then the last thing I could do is add a drop shadow on this decorative pillow, just so it separates a little bit more from the sheet. So I'm going to go to layer style, and I'm going to add drop shadow. And then you can see that it's add a drop shadow. In this case, I want the drop shadow going downward, as if the light's coming from the top, from say the ceiling. The shadow would fall in a downward direction. And I can also increase these, and I could even, you can play with the size, the distance, and also the darkness. I usually don't go more than 50% because then it starts looking a little too hard. But that looks really good. So now what we're going to do is just save this, and then we're going to put all of this into a group. So let's make a new group and call this the berry design. And then I can put all of these, except for the master on the bottom, into the berry. So that gives us a nice way to consolidate all of those layers needed for this one mock-up. And then I would, of course, save this one more time. And then we can save this as a JPEG, which would be what you put into your portfolio. So I'm going to call this bedding, and I'm just going to call this the berry design. And then to create a second bedding design, you would simply duplicate the group, duplicate group, give it a new name, and then you can go through and replace all these designs with a different grouping. You know, adjusting sizes as necessary and colors, etc., and creating a separate pillow and or whatever else you need at that point. So that's it.